But anyways, for the first one, I took you through prepping the t-shirts and then cutting them out. But this one is really all about how my process is. I like to be kind of improvisational when I do this, because you never know what kind of pieces you end up with from the shirts and sweatshirts and all those pieces of clothing. So here is my tip of the day, and maybe this will help someone if they want to do the same thing. We are continuing on from our two previous videos, where in the first one I showed you how to stabilize your t-shirts by adding the fusible on the back. And then the second one I talked about how I cut my t-shirts out so that the emblem really fills out each block using the Stripology rulers. So now it's the next step in designing and putting my quilt together. Now these are my daughter's shirts, and I have arranged them in an approximate layout. So as you can see, I had a lot of blocks that were 12.5-inch wide, but different lengths. So for me, easiest way is to kind of assemble those in 3 rows, and then I'll fill in with a background fabric. And then some of them, of course, need to be pre-pieced because they are some a little bit wider, a little bit narrower, so we'll add some in. The next step for me here at this stage is find a background fabric, something that will stand out nicely from all of them, but still not be the focus or the center of attention. So I looked at all the colors of the t-shirts, and they're mostly grays and blues and some white. So I limited it. I didn't want light because that would just wash out the white t-shirts. So I found this fabric that I think is going to be perfect. It is a gray, but a very blue gray. So you can see in comparison, here is that navy blue that I have in the quilt. So there's a lot of blue in here. There's also that light gray parts that resonate with the white shirts. And this is also very perfect for my daughter, who is very artistic and likes to paint and draw. So I think this will be a really great one. This is called Color Wash Scribble Graphite. So it's going to be perfect for this. Now then, as I take a look at all the shirts, most of them, like I said, were gray and blue, but there's also some random colors in there. There's some red. So what I have pulled now are colors that I can use to mix in with the blocks to balance that color. When you have a scrappy quilt, you always want to balance the colors so that they are spread out evenly throughout the quilt. So I have some red here to add more touches of red as you look at the layout here on the screen. And then I see there's green, but it's kind of both the big green shirts are in the bottom. There's one in the middle. So I think I will use a little bit of that green in some of the parts to spread a little more green in there. The third color that I would say is pretty kind of that teal turquoise. So there's quite a bit of it, but only at the top pretty much. So I would maybe throw a little bit in there. And then we have that orange shirt in the middle. It's the only orange. So I may throw just a little bit of orange in there as well. So always those scrappy colors to make sure that you are spreading the colors around evenly. And all it needs is just a touch of it. So the next step for me is now to start piecing the units together so they're easy to put together. For example, you'll see I have these 3 blocks here that were on the bottom left side, and we have a shirt, and then there are 3 different sizes that I wanted to piece somewhat like this. So my process is this. I will measure this one, which is 6.5 inches wide, and this one is 4 inches. So to make this 6.5, to sew these 2 together first, obviously this will finish at 3.5, and for something to finish at 6, I need a 2.5 inch little strip here. So I would probably grab one of my colors, might just be that little teal blue or turquoise, to add here because that color is not really down in that area, or I may put a little orange. that will work well with the red in here, orange or even the red. So I will cut a piece, and I will probably use just some scraps to cut a piece to piece together with this one, and then sew those two together, and then these can come together, and they will end up being a 14.5-inch wide. So that I can then adjust for all of my other ones. So I will pretty much figure out a way to make all of them a similar width just by adding either a little strip on the side on some of them, maybe on both sides. So that is my next task, to try and get the shirts and sweatshirt pieces into a bigger pieces using some of these colors that are prevalent throughout the quilt and spreading them out evenly. So we will keep following my process, and I will keep you updated on how this goes. Here it is. You saw me work on this together with all of you and giving you tips along the way. It ended up being kind of these 3 rows of t-shirts, but they are not all straight. So, you know, I have some indents and little pockets of blocks and pieces coming out of it. I tied it all together because it was a lot of different colors and just some of the shirts. So I made some bear paw blocks at the top. She loves animals, of course, so these were perfect, and I made them rainbow for my rainbow girl. So she absolutely loved it. And for the back
is awesome.
The backing, I used Cuddle. I got special Cuddle.